Brad,
And to
welcome.
and everyone listening out there, we have a very special guest tonight, Brad Holcomb, former A&E executive, four-time Emmy-nominated producer. He's created 100 hit series, including 60 Days In, Duck Dynasty, Intervention, and Sean and I had the great pleasure of working with Brad on a show called Booked First Day In, which was one of my favorite shows I've ever worked
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
We
So
filmed
good.
600 stories on that show. So welcome, Brad. We are so excited to talk to you and learn, catch up, figure out what's going on with you and your new life. You left A&E 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? How is the transition beyond TV?
Um, it's a loaded question because what I'm you know us if you grew up traditionally in the entertainment industry, the days were kind of written for you, and that was me. W-2 job, you were walking into an industry that basically as a manager, you just followed what other managers did. There was no really recreating of the road. And I have always been a little bit of an entrepreneur in a non-entrepreneurial world, and would question things that would somewhat be out of my swim lane. And it was all for the better of the company. It was all for the better of the audience. And ultimately, you can do one of two things. You can keep complaining to no ears whatsoever, or do something about it. And it was only because I got in this room full of entrepreneurs, because of a new genre that I was taking on in entertainment, that I realized that the skill set of that we've been doing for so long, I wouldn't say it's more valuable outside of the entertainment industry, but we're a bit of a unicorn in outside of the entertainment industry. And I thought, listen, the conditions of the entertainment industry weren't getting better. And I would like to help people and tell their story, to help people with their story, somewhat we've been doing for 20 years. And I was convinced to jump into the deep end, not knowing if I could swim. So that happened a couple of years ago, and
Wow.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still struggling at times, and thriving in others. But really, the lesson here is, um, you don't know what you have until you talk to somebody that doesn't know who you are, what you are, and your background. The
Right.
entertainment industry is really special. There's nothing like it. And we
Yeah.
feel right now there's doom and gloom, but yet our services are needed outside the entertainment industry more than ever, especially because of AI. And
Oh,
we know how to create great meals out of great ingredients. And AI literally can amplify that, but nobody knows their ingredients. And all we've done in our career is find those special ingredients that make great meals
I
throughout our
love
career.
that. That is so well said because people don't understand that we're a Swiss Army knife, that, that even though you're an exec on a show, you are an entrepreneur. I mean, you were green lighting shows, you were seeing the potential in a crazy idea like 60 days in. I don't know how you guys did that. And we're good friends with the Lucky Eight team. But that was like a big swing
Yeah.
concept of like, what happens when somebody from the outside goes in jail for 60 days? What is that experience like? And that's a create, I hate the word out of the box, but that was a wild idea. And you
It was
guys,
stupid.
I feel like we could
Literally,
talk for an hour about how you got that show.
that
I know.
that's
Just
where
yeah,
that's where people need to think, and this is
Yeah.
where really my brand was born out of. So my brand's the $2 bill brand,
Yeah.
because we're not here to create the $100 bill, the $50 bill. We're here to create something that's attainable, and that we all have a story about. We do The $2 bill is a bill that you literally don't spend. You hold on to, you have a story about it, but yet
Yeah.
it's you spend the dollar, you spend the $5, you spend the $100. Why don't you spend the $2 bill? So when I
Yeah.
talk to people about what makes something special, and when I look back at my career, all I've done is the $2 bill. I didn't create the genre of jail shows or crime and justice. I didn't create the television format. I didn't create an arcing series. I didn't create anything. What I did was I made something about it just a little bit different, And when you do that in a sea of mediocrity, it sticks out. And that's what
Wow.
that show did. And it
Yeah.
frankly, anything that we do, when you give somebody a $2 bill or hold a $2 bill, they stop and they question and they tell a story or do something about it. That's what 60 Days In, it made you go, wait, what? You're doing that? They're not supposed to be there? And
Yeah.
that really, we don't think too much about that, but that's how you win in life and in television, is you just got to be that much different than anybody else, especially when it comes to a genre that we all know. I don't like creating new genres. I don't like creating the new whatever. That's scripted. Scripted can
Right.
make an
Sure.
entirely new fictional amazing world. Our job is to take something that we kind of already know, but we didn't know that about the world.
Yeah,
That's hit television right there.
I
yeah.
love it, and all summed up in the $2 bill.
I got
It's
one of
so
those right here. Look at that. Look at
No,
that.
really?
Yeah, I went to the bank and I was like, "Man, if we're gonna do the $2
Oh.
bill, you gotta get the
Oh.
$2
Oh,
bill."
Oh.
it's so funny.
Oh, where's
It's
mine?
something. It is something. It's such a simple concept, and it was only, this has been part of my life from when I was 2 years old. This is something that I've lived with, and it's one of those things that you don't have to explain, and people understand. And it's just. I mean,
It's
even when you
great.
look at it, like it's just something cool. Like it's pretty awesome to look at.
And you'll
I
hang
love
on
that. I
to
love
it.
that, Sean.
That
Yeah, it
is
is. Yeah, I was
awesome.
like, we're doing this. I watched a bunch of your stuff on your channel, and if you haven't already, subscribe. The one person that's watching, uh, right there, man. That's the $2 bill. I was like, I got to go get one of those
Nice.
today. If we're gonna be doing this tonight,
Ah,
I got to get one of these
That's
today.
right.
that's
And
awesome. Thank you,
so,
Sean.
Right. You
yeah,
guys
yeah, I made a trip
subscribe
down.
to the $2 bill brand, subscribe to the Hotsheet. That's what it's all about. It's all about a new
I
frontier
just want
here.
to rewind really fast.
Yeah.
60 days in, I always say 90, but it's 60 days in. Uh, you wouldn't
90.
believe how many people, when I was working for Lucky Eight, how many people would beg me to get on that show. I was
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
just like, why? It's just one of those
Oh,
things. It's just really weird.
because we were housed in the best cities in America. Jeffersonville, Indiana, who didn't wanna be there? I mean, that's sorry, Jeffersonville. Um,
Yeah.
no,
Uh,
it's people, and all honestly, when you have a concept that seasoned employees and creatives want to be to, you've got something special. There's something really amazing. One of the, um he's a guy that somewhat got me too'd in the industry, so I'm not gonna mention his name. Actually, somewhat he
there
got
was
me
a f-
too'd.
there was a few of those,
Yes,
few
there
of
was a few.
those.
But one of the conversa we would always go to the same conference together. He became a big name in television, and he did really big shows. And we were talking about, because I was a producer at the time, or at Fox 21, and he was at a network, and he said the joy was to be part of something so big that marriages happened, houses got bought, cars got upgraded, relationships happened, and the waiting list for people to get on the show was ridiculous and envied and mentioned as people wanted just to be part of the show. That's when you know that you truly were part of something special, and that was the goal of a network executive. So for
Wow.
me, 100%, one of my goals was, can I have a show so distinct, so different, and so wanted by the creative community that I could get the best of the best or elevate the best of the best. And their career can be defined by something that I had a part of. There's nothing that makes you happier than people go, oh, I love that show. I love it. And I want to work on it. Or the experience that I had is your calling card. And when you're in the industry, you kind of don't really know when you're out of the industry. You definitely know where calling cards are. Like I ran Duck Dynasty for years. Something that um, was a normal show to me. It wasn't the show that it is because that's what you do in television. It's kind of like, oh, it's a cool show, right? Outside the industry, that's the one thing that everybody talks to me about is what were they like? What was the
Yeah.
show like? How, because I think
Right.
I oversaw over 100 episodes or so, traveled the world with the family.
Wow. Wow.
And to me, again, it's what we do in television. It's only become really special since I left. and I get to tell these really special stories with this family and my experience and what I've learned from it. So while you're going through things, and why, if you're looking for work, or if you're looking for shows, or if you have a show that's iconic, stay with it. And also just understand that that's you may never get that again. You may never. It's a lot of luck. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of ingredients that need to happen to have one of these things. When I was Emmy nominated, the best advice I ever got was, this could be your last. Your first could be your last.
Ooh,
So when
yeah.
you go to the Emmys,
Yeah.
literally soak it up, eat it up, because you never know, because we don't have control. We have nothing.
Yeah.
There's so many different elements at play. And that was the best advice ever, because there are network people that have gone to the Emmys every year as a network executive because that's their job. And they're like, oh, the Emmys. Ugh. And I'm like, you know what? F off.
Yeah.
How cool is we get to dress up as penguins, walk a red carpet, watch a show that's broadcast to millions, get essentially this massive trophy, and then go to one of the best parties ever. Like, I'm sorry, but 99.99% of anyone in the world would be dying to trade seats with you. So quiet down and suck it up and have the night of your life.
That's so funny that the Emmys become a slog, because you're right. Because looking outside in, it's like an Emmy. Wow.
I get nowadays, every time I get introduced on stage or speaking engagements, they always mention my Emmy nominations. And for me, I never owned it. I never owned it in the industry, because again, we're all in the same population here, and we are taught not to own these credentials or know these awards, because it's a team effort, and it is.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
outside the industry, that's currency. That's something that very few people on this planet can say, and instantly it gives you credibility without having to say a word or prove yourself, because
Yeah,
someone
that's right.
else said
Yeah.
you're involved. You don't need to qualify it. You don't need to, we've got to unwrite everything that we're doing and be confident about who we are, and what we have provided to our shows. And by the way, I'm talking because I'm still in therapy, of having to own my resume, because I didn't own the resume. It's like, oh, I'm just the network executive. But when you think about it, every role mattered. Every role, from the PA to the executive producer and everything in between. And as long
That's
as you
right. Yeah.
actually worked on the show and you weren't like a friend of a friend and then you own that credit, you should be proud of that. The outside business doesn't know what an EP is versus a PA. They really don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
They just see the
as an
show.
EP, I got coffee for my talent. Okay, so that's what we do.
That's one thing, just a little hot sheet plug is what we love about this show, is that we get to celebrate all the people involved with the show. We interview folks like you and the VP of National Geographic, but we also have camera guys, and we have an editor coming up, and so we try
Nice.
and show the process and the people behind the scenes, and how these shows kind of come together, because it is really special to be
Yeah.
filming in jail, and these dynamic places, like in a family like Duck Dynasty, and this is incredible high level access that it takes 6 months to be able to film, just to get in the door to these places, let alone try and make a hit show. And so that's what we're trying to do, is like kind of unveil that process and the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's
Can we
fun.
ever talk about how book First Day In came about?
Well,
Did
I
we
wanted to
mention it?
ask you that
Yeah,
question.
yeah, let's talk about it.
Because I've heard the story, but I wanted to hear it from you, because I've heard it kind of third.
So, by the way, I'm sure there's a million stories, and a million probably have some truth, but this is the real story.
Yeah.
First day of 60 Days In, first day, Jeffersonville, Indiana, and I wasn't told who of our participants were going to come in and when. And all of our participants came in through the same door that every inmate or every person that gets arrested comes in. Right? So they come in and they get booked. That's what happened. And they tell their story. And that was a big part of 60 Days In, is how are they going to blend in from day one? But what we wanted to test while I was there was, can I notice any difference between our participants and regular inmates? And what I didn't know was it was going to be about 4 hours of me just sitting in booking, waiting for our participants to come in. I thought I had missed the participants, but there was things happening, to get people ready to come in. And I was there in Jeffersonville, Indiana. It was the most fascinating place, as you know very well.
Oh yeah.
The story, everybody's innocent. The stories that are being told are outrageous. You have the drunk, you have the this, you have everybody. It's literally your worst day, or in some instance, it felt like it was their best day. They were very happy to be there. And literally that day, I'm like, that's a show. That is a show
That's amazing.
entirely in this place. So I talked to our friends at Lucky 8 and I'm like, hey, got our next show. It's great. I'm like, okay, great, amazing. They're all 60 days in-ish. I brought it back to my team, crickets. Cricket. Because we were just, and this was weeks later, because I spent a couple weeks out in Indiana, and this was weeks later. And I'm like, this is the best concept for a show. And what did I keep getting told? Yeah, but 60 days in does everything. We go from the booking to release and everything in between. Why are we just going to do a whole show in booking? And I'm like, because it's the most fascinating place. So what happened was the first couple seasons of 60 Days In, we spent some time in booking, but then booking got less and less and less because the audience really just wanted them in Gen Pop.
Right.
So 7 years.
Wow.
7 years. I kept bringing it up. Finally, we're in the need of content. And I'm like, hey, remember that concept that I've mentioned a billion times? And I finally got commissioned to do a test. And sure enough, that's where it was born.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I'm sure there were other plays, but it was definitely by far me sitting in the first day of shooting at 60 Days In being, this is an entire show. And listen, time, that's for me, the lesson is good ideas also need luck. They also need timing. They also need things that you cannot control, but don't let a no determine the fate of a project. It's all the stories, how Oprah was fired and Disney and all that, and it's really true. When you really know something is good, do not let it go. And don't have somebody say yes because you don't let it go, but you genuinely believe that this is the next big hit. And that we all know in television, most shows are not hits. 90% of shows don't go to a second season, but your belief, your gut means everything, and stay with it. And listen, it literally took 7 years.
I love that. You know what?
That's pretty much the story I heard. I didn't know that it took 7 years, but that's pretty much the story I heard, that you had really just pushed it. And
it's so
that's
great.
The stories were true. Yeah.
But
and thanks for doing that, because otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Thank you. Yes, we loved that show. I mean, it was honestly one of my favorite shows I've ever worked on, because we, like you said, like every single person that came through the door going to jail, they didn't plan on being there that day. They didn't wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to jail today. So somehow their life got derailed. And they all had a story, no matter who. We filmed 600 stories, and then not all of them went to air because they had to go through, as you know, like heavy legal vetting and whatnot. And we had a lot of domestic violence, like a phenomenal amount of domestic violence, and those stories never got past legal for, to protect the victim and all that. But it was fascinating. Like you said, I just loved
I know
it.
When I first talked to Jen about that, and so I was considering going back to Mountain Man or to go try something new and try book. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, how many do you expect me to get? Because I was like, there's no way I'm going to get more than one a night. And before you know it, we're getting like 6 to 12 people a night saying yes. Yeah. The camera.
I thought that was going to be the biggest problem, was people saying, no, I don't want to be filmed. But we had so many people saying yes. It was crazy.
I could not believe
so it. That was one of the big questions that I got. Like, hey, Brad, this production is going to take forever because nobody's saying yes. And I said, you know that show called America's Dumbest Criminals? That old age format? not very smart, so they will sign off. Like they will, they will.
Yeah.
And by the way, the history of programming, we all know that they sign off because 20 years of programming in jail has already told us they have. Different here that it's their first day. There's a lot of them. It was the first
And they're
time being
in
arrested.
handcuffs. A lot of them were actually they couldn't actually sign because they were in handcuffs.
I
So we
mean,
get a
I'm not
verbal.
laughing. I'm laughing with them.
Yeah.
I'm laughing with
Oh,
them.
absolutely. No,
Um,
absolutely.
But
We laugh.
also, the whole point of that show was hopefully to prevent others, but also great television is when we know what the world is, but we haven't seen it. And we hopefully
Ooh,
most
I like that.
viewers haven't been inside of jail, let alone booking,
Yeah,
and it's preventative. And in fact, I'll tell you
yeah,
this quick story.
that's good.
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina now, the television capital of the world, as we all don't know that, because it's not. And I think we were like 3 or 4 days here. We had just moved here. We knew nothing about Charlotte. We decided to move on a whim. We're in Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is about 15 minutes from where am in Charlotte. We're eating outside at this just normal restaurant. I swear to God, 4 days us living here. And all of a sudden, I hear these two women that they were mothers and their kids were at this table talking about 60 Days In.
No way.
And I'm like, this has never, it only happened once ever in my career that anybody had talked about any show. And it was at the sushi place in Studio City when I was on a trip out to LA, happened to be talking about 60 Days In too, sitting next to me. They were TV executives that didn't know who I was. And they were talking about it. So they're
That's
talking
funny.
about the show. And my wife goes, "No, you're not. No, you're not." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I am." So we're in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And I turn around, I'm like, "Hey, I hear you're talking about 60 Days In." And they're like, "Yeah, we love that show." And I'm like, "Oh, why do you love that show?" And they're like, "Well, we watch it with our kids." And I'm like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, we watch it with our kids because they know now what it looks like to be in jail, and
Oh
hopefully
my
by them
gosh.
seeing how real it is inside jail that they won't have an activity, they know the consequence of what they're getting." And I sit there going, "Okay, literally never thought about that." So I say, "Hey, my name is Brad Holcman. I'm one of the executive producers on the show." And the moms look at me like I was a lunatic. They're like, "Not a chance in hell." And what do? They turn to the sane person at my table, which is my wife, and my wife goes, "Yeah, that's yes. If you go to the credits, he's on the credits." But truly, it's you
That's
don't
funny.
realize what these shows do or what the outcome of these shows were, and that's one of the things we don't do well in Hollywood is we don't go out to the people and actually talk to the people. And me being in
Mm.
Charlotte, those are the people that watch television. LA and New York don't watch television. When's the last time an LA and New York executive actually watched something that was non-Emmy nominated? They haven't. They haven't, right? It's
Yeah.
all they watch.
That's
And I
hilarious.
always and I will tell you, Dana Walden, who was one of my bosses when I was at Fox 21, and now she's, if you don't know her, she's number 2 at Disney. She would send me to, oh my God, I'm going to mess up the city, Bakersfield
Oh, yeah.
in California, because there was real people there, and just sit at the bar and sit at the restaurant and just talk to people about who they are, what they are, and what their favorite shows were. This is many, many years ago. And just get a read on what people were watching. And I thought
That's
that's an
brilliant.
executive that she's going to go far one day.
Yeah, that's
She's gonna
brilliant. I
she's
like
going to do
that.
something. But we forget we're not making television for ourselves. We're
Yeah.
making content for the audience and the masses. And sometimes we just get caught up in so like the minutia of things that we just have to think big picture and answer a very simple question. Will the audience like this or not?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question with a yes, then end it right there. But we sometimes get caught up way too much. But at the end of the day, an audience member who has a 9 to 5 working Claire's in the mall, and they come home to watch content, they want to watch shows they like. Simple, done. That's it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
won't watch shows that they don't like.
I'm always asking people, what are they watching? What are they reading? What are they watching? It says, it's a lot. I think some people watch shows to check out or to be entertained or to learn something or there's all kinds of reasons why you gravitate towards things. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction or what have you. It depends on what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brain's wired. Anything I'm doing, where's the show in this? Like it's like this is a show, that's a show, and
That's a
then
show.
it's
It
yeah,
doesn't stop. It
yeah.
doesn't stop. And luckily, I very much have an outlet. In fact, that's what happened to me today. I'm developing a show. It's so fun. Like for me, even to say that just seems weird. But I am,
Yeah.
and it's a no. It's like one of the no-brainer shows. But it literally was a conversation with somebody that was completely unrelated to anything television, anything content, anything. And I simply asked the question, "Have you ever thought about being on TV?" And he said the magic words, "Why?" And I'm like, "Yes." I put people on television that don't want to be on television. That's been my homework. That's been my career from book first day in. They don't really want to be on television.
They had no idea. They had no idea there's
Intervention, they don't
cameras.
know they're on television. They know that there's something being filmed, to this. He and literally like why in my life? And if I told you the ingredients to this show, you'll be like, literally the meal was written and everything was done. But yeah, our brains never stop. And in fact,
No.
it's why my wife won't watch television with me because I always look at it and I'm always editing, I'm always critiquing. She said that
That's
it was
funny.
something, even in real life, if there's an event or a production or something of that nature. Like I was at my kids' camp in upstate New York this weekend, and there was some issues with the production of one of the musicals. And my wife turned at me and she's like, "Nope, nope, you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything." But that's what people will pay us for outside the business and inside the business, frankly, too, is the brain that we have that's so natural and organic to us, the way that we think, that is not normal. It's normal when you're around people that are
Right.
similar to us. But
Sure.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, the people that I hang out with that know
Oh, yeah.
nothing about television, they're like, your brain just works differently. You just see the creative in everything. So we have to understand one of the lines is you can't read the label on a pill bottle if you're inside, right? So
Yeah.
we're inside the pill bottle. We can't read that label. So it requires talking to somebody that's outside the business or outside the industry to really understand how special we are.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
I was
you
going to
bring
ask
up
you,
so
have
many
you ever
things.
taken like something that you've worked on, a show that you've worked on, and then said, "Oh, that's a great business idea," and then kind of run off and try to do the business of it? I was out shooting a sizzle, and now I'm trying to sell gooey duck because I was shooting a
Yeah,
sizzle recipe. Gooey duck.
it only in the back half of my career, I actually did that for others. And I never was entrepreneurial in terms of externally outside of the entertainment industry until just recently. And that happened because I got a hold of all the real estate shows on A&E. I was handed the block, and
Right.
my CEO at the time was very much like, "You're entrepreneurial, you like creating businesses. We're going to give you this whole block on top of your job. So, and we're going to pay you exactly the same. We're not going to promote you, but we're going to give you more work
Yeah.
because that's how entertainment works."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm lucky to have
Yeah.
a job because I was told I was lucky to have a job. So bring it on." I'm facetious about this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
my CEO giving me that block literally changed everything for me because I saw a different brain, the entrepreneurial nature of the world that we live in that I just didn't see within the TV industry. So a little dotted line to that was when I started understanding real estate and the investment side and flipping, I
Right.
looked at that and go, "Oh, why?" I mean, I can flip homes and work a TV job. Like it does,
Yeah.
there's no conflict, there's no anything. So I started flipping. I still flip houses to today because
Yeah.
I saw
Amazing.
how amazing these people were, and financially it was fantastic, and I understood the economics of it. Nowadays, what I do is I help people understand that being on TV, it's these are words that I never knew inside the business, but lead magnets and funnels and
Mm.
generation of business. Um, I convince my real estate talent that I put on air that I'm like, shooting a television show will be the most miserable 6 months of your life. It is. It is terrible. It's awful because they're entrepreneurs, and what we're doing is we're actually boxing them into a 9 to 5 that they specifically and purposely went away from. They are
Mm.
unhireable and cannot have bosses. That's why they become real estate investors, because they don't have to report to anybody.
Oh,
So now all of a
interesting.
sudden we're have this whole infrastructure in them, but the 10 to 15 years of that show being on air and out there and being introduced as the star of A&E's Triple Digit Flip,
Yeah,
that will
pace. Yeah.
continue to move on and on and on and on and on. And my talent does that. So I help them set up the systems and processes to help them funnel off of all the goodwill that comes from being on a television show,
Wow.
especially the genre of real estate. Because think about your home doesn't go stale until what, 15 years. The show doesn't really get old because the design doesn't get old. So there's about a 15-year life cycle in these home shows. So they literally shoot once, and then for 15 years, they have an avatar of them out there. And the way
Wow.
that content works is old content keeps getting distributed. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. Every channel has it. So literally, they are getting paid to produce commercials that will live on so past. And
Yeah.
so few people have them. So for me, when I talk to people about traditional television, that's the difference between a television show and putting yourself up on social media. Social media is a whole different side of things. It's actually not social media, it's called interest media now, because it's not about social. It's about delivering interest to the people that are finding what you need. But putting yourself out there is very different than somebody else making a television show about you. But when you do both together, I find my talent of content that they put out there, and then I just make the television show out of it. So I also encourage everybody and their mother to put themselves out there. That is your resume nowadays. In
Mm.
2026, your resume is putting yourself out there. There's been no time in history that 8.5 billion people potentially could watch something that you say that they need for free.
Yeah.
There's no cost to it. So why aren't we putting ourselves out there?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
Because of Sally in 8th grade. Because Sally in 8th grade is judging you and pointing fingers on you and be like, oh, ugh." And guess what? We don't care about Sally, because Sally's not paying us, not hiring us, not doing anything else. But there's a million other Sallys that need to hear what we can do, what we have to offer. And it's our duty to put ourselves out there to connect. So we're talking about content, we're talking about creative, but we're thinking about it very differently. It's not ego driven. It's actually a disservice if you don't put yourself out there. You need to be
Wow.
visible. You need to be invisible, because there's all of us, we have a fingerprint. It's all unique. We've got something. We all know how to tell stories too. If you're in the entertainment industry, tell your story, and don't tell your story once, tell your story 1,000 times, because at any point, somebody is going to hit play, watch one of your videos. It could be a year from now, 5 years from now, or today, that needs to hear your story. And just because you've repeated it 1,000 times, there's always going to be somebody that heard your song for the first time. A musician doesn't produce a hit song and just be like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not going to ever play that again. In
Right.
fact, 50 years, you could be singing that same song. And whether you're in the audience and heard it 500 times, or you're that person that heard it the first, it just hits the same. There's something about a great song. We all have a great song, and we have the medium now to literally. This is my social media right here. That's it. It's literally just me down the barrel. There's zero production.
Yeah.
That's what converts. That's what hits with
That's
people. So
amazing.
again, we all are creating. Create your own story. When you
Create your
create your own story, you create your own destiny.
Yeah.
Amazing. You know, you just brought up, you were talking about music and being, you know, that song, Pink Pony Club, who sings that song? She released it like 5 years ago, and nothing happened. And then all of a
Oh, I didn't know.
sudden it just like blew up, and it was like the biggest song in the world, like Pink Pony Club. Remember, who sings that? It's
I
your
don't know.
name.
But I was gonna say, real estate. You're responsible for Pace Morby.
I'm not. I mean,
Yeah, I get. I mean, just like
I
the TV
elevated
show.
Pace Morby.
Yeah. Just I belong to one of his communities in the real estate investing world, and Gator, and
You're a
but
Gator
he's got a
lender?
really great community. He's built an amazing thing there,
Oh
because
yeah.
I've tried a few of those groups, and his is by far the best.
So Pace, I didn't know anything about real estate when Pace walked in to my door. I actually was casting flippers, and he's not really a flipper, which now I understand that. But I was casting, and it was him and Jamil. But for me, it was all about the story. It was two best friends fishing in the same ocean, and they believed that 1+1 = 11. If they were fishing together, that they would be able to catch more fish. The opposite of the entertainment industry, right? Two people in the same boat, one's going to die, one's going to live.
Yeah.
But they believe that 1+1 = 11. And
Mm.
then Jamil's sister's in the business, and then Pace's wife is in the business. And I'm like, these are the ingredients for an amazing story. What I didn't know was what Pace and Jamil were doing from their community perspective and building, and also really understanding that content converts, and there's a trust about content. And the other thing with that I learned from Pace, I was he invited me out to one of his masterminds, and I spoke at his mastermind. He lives in Phoenix. And we were talking about content and in the very traditional conversation. And I've had now hundreds of clients, and they all kind of are the same thing. What's the tech? I need the speaker. I need the microphone. I need the camera. I need everything. No, you need words, a mouth, and hit record. Literally, that's it. So Pace overheard
simple.
me convert.
Yeah.
So Pace, his best performing piece of content, and was at his office in Scottsdale. And he went to this office, no windows, and he had a very vulnerable moment, literally just here. And he just spoke down the barrel in the camera for about, I don't know, 30 seconds. It was the most raw and real thing. And that post, he absolutely attributes to one of the reasons why he gained so much following, is because he
Wow.
was raw and real. Authenticity connects, emotions connect, stories connect, polish does not.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
unscripted, in our business,
Yeah.
the goal was to remove any polish, any understanding that there's a producer producing. It was really difficult to do because we all feel the story tropes, and we all feel the act outs, and we all feel. That's why, like, I never worked at a network that didn't have act outs. I would have loved to not have act outs, because you're building false story into that. People's life doesn't end at the 12-minute mark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, those are difficult when you're filming around a commercial break, to those who don't know what an act out is, but a
Oh, right,
show
sorry.
is constructed by I mean, I'm assuming people that are listening are in the business, but maybe they're not. But if you're not, shows have a 4 or 5 or sometimes 6 acts,
Oh, 6,
and you have commercial breaks and whatnot. So the story has to kind of fit into that timeline, which doesn't always work with the real story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I wanted to ask you
So
about zombie homes.
Yeah.
That's something you were part of too?
Yeah, so zombie house flipping was the only franchise that I kept when I took over.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was the Orlando team, and I actually wasn't allowed to get rid of it. That was the real story, because the ratings were great. The
nice.
ratings were great. The show was not real. It was a lot of producing, that I actually found out when I went to the field. And
You didn't
my whole
know?
brand,
Wait, you
I
didn't
did not
know?
know. No, and I had just gotten on the show,
Whoa.
and I may have been told other things that were happening that weren't real and false. And by the way, not a unique experience of that.
Well, yeah, I think, we touched on that earlier, how there's, a lot of that, the power not to cut you off, we'll get back to you, but just that power imbalance between the network and the production company. The production company, is desperate to keep the show going, and it's hard to sell a show, so once they get a show, they want to keep the show, and they'll do anything they can to make sure the wheels are running smoothly. which often means not sharing everything with the network exec and, you
Or
know,
openly lying to the network exec and openly
or
lying to the
that.
talent on set. Yeah, it's actually a disease that needs to be killed. It needs to
I
stop.
agree. Yeah.
Um, uh, when and here's the reality: the first time a network exec finds something that's false or is watching something that actually did not happen, then
Mhm.
it's on them. And all of the network execs are scared for their job. So once
Sure.
something happens, that's
Yeah.
either they are scared and won't say anything because they'll think that it's their fault, which it's not because you're not in the field 24/7,
Right.
or you'll blow up a show, but you're not going to blow up the show because as a network executive, you're desperate to have shows so you can
Right.
keep your job. So it is really a pandemic that is really it's an epidemic, not a pandemic. It's an epidemic that keeps happening. But on that show, I go to the field and literally ask the most basic questions, and I was not being delivered the right answers. And I just thought it was so crazy that I'm like, but the show, like in the real world, people flip homes. They buy a house, they renovate a house, and they sell. That was not happening here. They actually weren't buying the house. They actually
Oh.
weren't renovating the house,
Oh.
and they actually weren't selling the house. And I'm
Wow.
Whoa.
sitting here going, but people, and I was literally the idiot. But that's not how it works. It's just, do people like the characters, and is it entertaining, and the ratings say people like it, and I'm like, but what if one story comes out that everything they've watched is completely false and fake because there's a
Right.
disgruntled cast member that gets fired, or
Yeah.
a co-EP, then it's on me because now I know.
Right.
So
Right.
that is when allegedly it was going to stop. I later learned that it stopped for a while. Um, and this was the lesson that I learned. For my entire career, I was told not to be close to the talent. And I prescribed to that because talent reports to the production, production reports to the network. The issue is when your production's openly lying to your talent and then pointing the finger at the network because the production company is actually the one that messed up. And then your name is being dragged through the mud of something you have no clue that's happening. And that happened in that same production.
Yeah. That's too
So
bad.
mind you, I tried to write the ship, I tried to do things, but because the franchise was working, I very quickly got permission to cast more opportunities under the zombie house flipping brand. So my whole goal was, I'm not going to kill the Orlando. That's not my job. My job is not to remove people. My job is to provide authenticity to a genre that is 100% authentic and can be done, despite the fact that the production company did not believe that authenticity could be done under the guidance or under the rules of production in this world. So that's when um, I casted 3 other cities, and one still airing to today. This Tampa
Nice.
family, and there was all these things, but that's ultimately what led me to
Wow.
Payson Jamil as well, because zombie was already created, the format was already created, and I knew the genre was making, so I wanted to make more shows in the genre. So I put a casting call out to have additional flipping families, and we commissioned 3 series, which Pace and Jamil were the most successful, not by far, but pretty good. And then we kept going from there. But Zombie is a real strategy. We didn't make it up. It's not a television created concept. Flippers will call houses that are in complete distress and not livable, they're empty. So they're zombies. So they're
Oh,
just sitting
wow.
there, nothing's happening with them.
Yeah.
They're a shell of a house, and they take that zombies. And one of my friends and producers, he calls it from crappy to happy. That's the genre
That's a
of
fun
television.
concept. No, it's really
Yeah.
fun. I think
Yeah.
it's like you literally see the potential in the show, in the house, the whole
Oh yeah.
thing.
It's great. And then Zombie, over the years has evolved. So I commissioned another zombie show because the word zombie was catchy, and frankly, it was an interesting word.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
right now, airing on A&E is one of my shows, $1 Million Zombie Flips. A guy who in Seattle, James Daynard, a good friend of mine, and he flips two to $400,000 houses into multi-million-dollar houses, and that's
Wow.
$1 million flips. And then also today, another show that airs, one of my shows, Zombie House Flipping Family Business,
Wow.
which is not the same
It's
producer. It's a different producer, but it's my buddy Tommy Har and his family out of Columbus, Ohio, and they also flip as a family. That's one of those ingredients, or one of those shows that I sat down. We're in a mastermind together, and if you don't know what a mastermind is, it's a group of people that all have really the shared goal of helping one another, and they're kind of pre-vetted individuals, that they're at a certain level depending on that mastermind, and you come together and you're literally, how can we work together?
how
Also, the
cool.
culture
Yeah.
of these are, how can I how can I outgive the biggest giver in every room? That's the culture.
Wow.
That's the mentality of it. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Wow.
So I'm sitting down with this gentleman, and we're just talking. I'm like, I like this dude. I literally asked him, like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I flip homes. And I'm like, okay. Then all of a sudden the TV goes on. So I ask him, the qualifying questions. How many flips do you have? Where do you flip? What's the price point? What's the transformation like? Who's your team? All the basic questions that you ask about this particular genre that I didn't know 3 years or 4 years prior, but now I know exactly the qualifications. He
Mm.
literally blew every question away. And I look at him again, same story. Would you ever think about being on television? And he goes, no, I don't want to be. I'm like, yes, yes. And that's what became Zombie House Flipping Family Business, is on air now. It's probably the best real estate show I've ever been a part of, and I love my Pace and Jamil. But also, I've just gotten better over time. It's really one of those shows that, we have to understand that, we in unscripted, if you have to make TV in a unscripted world, we're not talking about formats or competition, it's probably going to be a problem. If the shows already exist before you get in there, then one of two things happen. Either you mess up the reel or you elevate the reel. But what you're not doing is creating the reel. So for me, I've always looked at, if the ingredients are there, it's on me to make a great meal or make a terrible meal. And I want that every time. But once we started going, oh, it's missing salt,
Then, yeah.
don't force it, because guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to realize 6 to 9 months later, ugh, it needed some salt, and we don't want to be part of losses
Yeah.
when we could have made it a hard decision 6 to 9 months earlier, that
I
it just
love that.
wasn't
That's
there.
really good. I like that. I like that because being the producer on the and those shows on concept shows that aren't fully fleshed out, like it's tough and then everyone suffers.
If you have to
um
ask what is the show, there's probably not a show.
Yeah.
yeah, that
I,
sounds
I have
Yeah.
that
amazing.
with
Right.
talent right now. They're unbelievable talent. They're amazing talent, but the show's not distinct and unique. And you need to have those ingredients. So we keep asking, well, what's the show? What's the show? And I don't have an answer. At some point, maybe, but it's okay. It's okay for we don't have to make a great meal with all great ingredients. Sometimes it's just not there.
So what are those key ingredients? What are the like to you as the green light
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
You get pitched hundreds of shows,
Yep.
all kinds of crazy ideas from jail to house
Yeah.
flipping and whatnot. What are the key ingredients in Brad's world?
It's a bit more of a process. So, one, here's the one thing that we forgot. And there's science that backs this. We've got our brain and we've got our gut. Our brain, we tend to overthink and overanalyze and put things there that aren't really there. But
Mm,
our gut, organically, scientifically, doesn't do any of that. So scientifically, if you have 100 problems, your gut is actually going to be more right than your brain at the end of the day. So one of the biggest lessons, every show that has been a hit of mine from day one, the gut was, this is a hit.
Wow.
100% of the time.
that's
And
amazing. Love
and
that.
almost 100% of the time, when my gut was like, but we still proceeded, it wasn't a hit.
Mm,
So
yep.
one, it's got to pass the gut test. For me, it's also having a deep knowledge of what's already out there.
Sure. Yeah.
how many times do we just produce the same version of something else, whether it's
Right.
worked or not? It
Right.
doesn't
Right.
matter. Another version is I always believe that great producers can produce any genre.
That
So I
is
don't
true. I
need
love that.
to
Yeah.
hire.
Yeah.
If you're known for a certain genre, I am not going to hire you to do the same thing. I'm going to hire you to do something that you haven't done, because that's when, at some point, when you created the new and exciting thing, there wasn't anything before. I want you to do that again. I don't want you to have the second place
I
version.
love
So
that. I
all too
love
I wish
often,
more
that.
people would think like that,
Yeah,
because
me
they don't.
too.
Hollywood wants
People,
to put you in a box,
yeah,
and it's
like,
so hard to get out of that
it-
damn box.
and they'll
Like,
even say on these jobs, we're freelancers, so they'll say on these jobs like, must work on a Bravo show to apply for this show, and you're like, okay, I mean, I'm a storyteller. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
But think about, and just, this is my school was A&E. A&E shows were pretty diverse in the hits. It wasn't, nowadays it's not so much. It's let's just say I haven't been that excited about a show in the last couple of years. And A&E used to produce a show a year that people were excited about,
for
and something
sure,
different,
yeah.
something, none of which was in any mandates, none of which, it all kind of was,
Intervention. I mean, that was
all of it was
incredible.
born out of something that you couldn't describe earlier.
Yeah.
We and a desire, to do something different. That was the goal of A&E, was literally
Right.
the line of
Yeah.
A&E was be different. That's
Yeah.
it. It was be different. And nowadays, with the risk averseness of Hollywood and saying like, hey, the sequel at least will perform half of what the original will, which is better than nothing of a new show, and risk all of it. It's
Yeah.
it's unfortunate,
That's
but
dismal.
that's the
Yeah.
gut test. The other part is, step out of the way of the creative process. From a network perspective, be the first 10 and the last 10. Check in with the middle 80. But now, especially now in my entrepreneurial world, let people fail.
yeah.
You learn from your failures.
Yeah.
We, at our network, we never had a meeting when a show worked and said, what didn't work about this show? We never. Every failure, we would have a meeting, what didn't work. So organically it happened. We learn from our failures, but we have to let people fail. One of the worst conversations I ever had at a network executive was when a senior executive, before a premiere of a show, walked into my office and said, this has to work. So you know nothing about how the world works when you told me that, because we have zero control. Zero.
That's right.
At that point.
Yeah.
We had 100% of the control leading up to the point of air, but we have 0% of the control after the air. So I can tell you, so it's funny because that lesson, the good part of that lesson happened from Paul Buccieri, who's the CEO of A&E Networks. And it was 5 days before 60 Days In premiered. He brings me into his office and he goes, Brad, I just want to congratulate you. And I'm like, for what? The show hasn't aired yet. And he goes, you did everything you can. 100% of what you could do, you did. And we are all proud of this product. What we can't control is anybody shows up on Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
But what we can control is the product that we put out there. So
Wow.
congratulations. So he told me, this is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company.
Wow.
The show works. I go back into his office and I said, now you can congratulate me. And he looked at me and he goes, Brad, no. He goes, yeah, it's nicer that the audience saw what we all saw. But again, Brad, your congratulations was before the air.
Wow.
That's all you can control. And you need to keep delivering shows that you believe the audience is going to desire and want.
Wow.
And be the best at that. But we have no control. We have zero control.
That's amazing.
Nobody else thought that way at our company.
Wow.
Wow.
No one.
That's TV. Yeah, wow. That's a great story.
Oh, that's
Thank
a
you.
story I haven't told. I don't even know. I've never told that story.
No, I love that though. I feel is like a special story, and thank you for sharing because that's the kind of stuff that people don't get to see. They just watch the show and they don't know the thousands of decisions that are going on leading up to the show and the risks that you're taking and staying up all night wondering if it's going to happen.
Here, by
um
the way, the risk, just to say that,
yeah.
we unfortunately live in a world full of yes. And if there's
Yeah.
one no in the room, things don't move forward. 100% of my hits had the most no's. And that's a fact. When somebody in marketing and somebody in research and somebody in international can't see the end product, that's okay, because it scares them, because it doesn't follow a prescription that they've known for 20 years, and they're not
Right.
a creative to understand that
Right.
different meals can be made.
Right.
So when I had shows and they were immediately confronted by, you can't do that, that's not going to happen, nobody's going to walk, like all the type of things that you hear, my job wasn't to say F off and I'm going to make it anyways. No. In fact, my job was to hear everybody out and to say, hold on, let me come back to you. And if I couldn't answer their rejections, that rejection was valid. But it was my duty to answer all those rejections before we invest in millions of dollars on the show. And 100% of the time, it made the show better. Always it made better. But what we too often is hear that no, and that wall stays up. We don't break it down. In
Right.
all my life and my career, success only happens when you break down walls. And we'll always be confronted with wall after wall after wall after wall. We need to run towards those walls and break them down. That's when good content gets made. That's when lives get changed. And we are so predisposed to being like, nope, okay, next one. Nope, next one. No. The walls that you hit and the biggest rejections, you're onto something. The most popular people in the world have the most haters.
Yeah.
They do.
Right.
So if somebody
Yeah.
says something on your social media feed and it's not exactly what you want, the likelihood is you're probably actually doing something good, and it's Sally that's miserable, and you feel you should have empathy for Sally because she was a keyboard warrior behind just saying something that she probably would never say to your face. So we got to break through in content, dare, be different, be authentic, challenge the status quo. Mediocrity is not fun. It's just not fun.
No.
It's not. You want to be the show that other people compare it to. You want to be. Don't be different for different sake. It's got to be authentically different. But don't ever walk into a pitch saying this meets this meets this.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You just said that it was literally a blended version of shows that already exist. Now, network executives aren't smart. That is why I became a network executive. I've told this story, so this is way above board. I was so tired of me pitching network executives and none of them getting it. So one of two things was happening. One, I was in the wrong, or two, the network person's wrong. And I had an ego at the time. So I'm like, 100% of what I'm pitching are absolutely billion-dollar franchises. That's not true, of course. But network execs did not have an opinion. They didn't have a creative opinion except for one person. His name was Mike Darnell. And if you don't know television history, Mike Darnell is one of the boldest, most confrontational, most argumentative, weirdest dude in Hollywood. And he ran Fox Reality. And he had as many haters as he had lovers. But what he did with everything he put forward was stand behind it. And I would walk in, part of Fox 21 is we had to pitch Mike first, knowing Mike would never buy our project, but also Mike would make our project better 100% of the time. He would always say, great pitch, not for me. Here's what the real show is. Great. Hey, ABC. Hey, NBC. Hey, CBS. Here's the show. I sold quite a few shows because Mike Darnell made it better. And I wanted to ever be that. I wanted to be the executive that one, had an opinion, and two, would help people, knowing only so many projects are right for me. A&E can't buy every project on television. So that was when I interviewed for the job, that was exactly what I said is, here's the executive that I'm going to be. I'm going to be an executive with an opinion, and every project that comes in my door, I want them to be better after than before, even if it's not right for me. And if they sell it to my rival network, God bless them. Great, amazing, wonderful. But I want that person then to come back with their second and third and fourth project. And I want our network to have a reputation that we walk in and we welcome and we make things better. And that did ultimately help me at the end of the day, by being kind and by being helpful and not just looking at going, no, pass. Why?
That's so wild. I mean, to have a compass like that is very important in a world where you're dealing with empty space. There's a lot of ideas and creation, and there's a lot of people that are afraid to take chances too. So there's just a lot of ways that this could go, and so to have that compass to keep moving forward is really important. Yeah, where did that come from, do you think, for within you, like that clarity that you wanted to be a certain type of executive and be decisive? Was it just through the experiences of working with people who weren't as clear?
Part of it is because, and I say this, I don't know, I didn't grow up in the business. I actually didn't know there was a business of entertainment. I knew things got made, but I was a Midwest boy. I was born and raised in Michigan. Entertainment was nothing that I ever thought about doing. I was a business guy. I like sports, but I didn't know anything about entertainment. And I started dating a girl. I was a junior, she was a senior, and we fell in love. And she was from Michigan too, and her goal was to work in Hollywood, and I knew nothing of what that meant. So what she decided to do was, after college, she moved out to Hollywood, and she became an assistant at CA. And again, I didn't know anything. I was on my business track, but I knew that I was so in love with her that I was going to follow her to LA. Mind you, I'd never been to LA before I moved to LA. I'd never been. I didn't know anything about it. So I moved to LA to follow her. I got a job in business, had a really good job. I was traveling all over the world. And then we broke up about 3 years into being in LA. Actually, she broke up with me. I can now say that, and not cry, because I have a beautiful. I wouldn't be with my wife without our breakup. Clearly, I wouldn't. But the one thing that she always did was she never wanted me to be in entertainment. She was the kid from Michigan that was in entertainment. And it was always something that never connected until we broke up. And maybe I made up the story at the end, but it was true, because one time she was working for, and I'm going to forget the name of the director, but a big time director. And the director was looking at a script called Batman vs. Superman. This is many, many years ago. This is in the 2003, 2004. And I saw the script at our, we didn't live together, thank goodness. And it was at our apartment, and I read the script, and I'm not a superhero guy. I'm nothing, but I'm like, it's a script. It looks cool, right? To read from a Hollywood script, kind of fun. So I read it, and I'm like, oh, there's a problem with this. And I don't know the rules of Hollywood. So I happened, like a day or two later, to go have lunch with her at her office. And the director goes, "Hey, Brad, how you doing?" And I kind of was friendly with him, but not really. And I was like, "Hey, I just happened to read the script, the Batman vs. Superman." She wasn't around at the time. Obviously, in Hollywood, everything that I just said, you never do. Never. So, and he goes, "Oh, okay. What are your thoughts?" And I'm like, "Okay, here's the problem. It's Batman and Superman. It was Batman and Superman." And I said, "This is not one film. It's 3 films, because I don't know why Batman and Superman are together straight out.
Right.
But I want the Batman story. I want the Superman story. I want the versus story. or I want the and story, and then I want the versus story, and then I want them to come back. Like I pitched the whole world of it. And he looks at me and he goes, Brad, that's genius. He little, and like all, it was like and again, I don't know what that meant. I know he was a big director. I don't know, but I'm like, okay, it was Saturday, it was a good day. The next day she goes, oh, I heard you talk to my boss. And I'm like, oh yeah. And she's like, you gave him notes on the script that you weren't supposed to read that was sitting. I'm like, oh, I didn't get the rule. I didn't get the Hollywood rule when I entered the LAX.
Oopsie.
And that was the day that I'm like, oh, she really doesn't want me in entertainment. So we break up 100% to spite her. I took an intern job at the Paramount lot.
That's how you got into TV? Oh my gosh.
Yes, because I'm playing tennis. We broke up. We'd broken up at the time. A week later, I've been playing tennis my whole life. I stopped playing tennis when we were together. No reason, like it's just coincident. But I found tennis, and the first day playing tennis, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, and that time I was thinking about leaving my company, my management consulting job. I'm like, oh, I kind of have a job. And literally at that time, there was a round of layoffs, but they were asking people if they wanted to take the severance package, and your severance package would be much larger if you volunteered for the severance package versus you getting cut. The severance package, mind you, I'm 24, 25 years old, making decent money. It was a year's salary. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and he goes, yeah, we need an intern. And I'm 25, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm not getting college credit, clearly. He goes, no, you don't care about any of that. Just know that you don't get paid. And I'm like, oh, that's how Hollywood works, is you get to work and not get paid for the privilege of being in an office. So I had no clue what the job was. I had no clue. I just knew, okay, Paramount sounds pretty cool. That's a pretty awesome job to be on a lot. So she goes, and I'm still friends with her to this day. The night before I was supposed to start, she's like, I need you to watch a movie. And I'm like, okay, what movie? Swimming with Sharks.
Oh my gosh.
And if you are you've watched this movie if you're in Hollywood. And I'm like, oh, okay, I hadn't heard of the movie. And goes, okay, well, it's based off of the person you're working with.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, cool. I thought it was awesome, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm working for somebody that is based off of a true story. It's not a very good story.
No.
For the person I was walking in with. So I literally showed up on the first day, and I go into her office, and the boss, this was in LA, but the boss worked in New York and would travel to LA maybe every month for a day or so. So I walk into her office and I go, it's like fiction, right? It's like based on a true story. And she goes, we may have seen most of those stories happen in the office. And I'm like, and I'm sitting here going, people don't do that. It's like the 2000s, right? It's like we're past the 1980s and 1990s. It's like, no. The next 3 months was an interesting time, to say the least. Luckily, I was 25. Luckily, I didn't need the job. I saw a lot of things. And in fact, about 15 years later, there was a really big story, breaking news story about him and his past. And I read the story of the people that came out against him and the stories of being interns and being assistants. And I sat going, that's my story.
Wow.
And I look at it and I go, well, because I didn't think it was abuse. Not to say that others weren't. It was abusive. But I was just like, this is Hollywood, because I watched the movie and I just was mature enough to not mature. Sorry, that was the wrong statement. I knew that it wasn't about me. Right. It was about him. So he was just taking it out on the individual, 100% not right, 100% wrong. Wow. But when I was presented with these things, I just knew it wasn't me. So I could deflect it. Now, New York got it much worse than LA too, so I only saw a bit of it. But it was one of those biggest things. again, if I didn't know any better, I would not have been in Hollywood. But what I quickly learned is that company, who no longer is a company anymore, um, that was a item on your resume that stuck out, even only after working there for 3 months.
Wow.
And that's how I got
Right,
my
you got
job at
yeah.
20th Century Fox Television. Was they're like, "Oh my God, you work for him. You got the stories and the this." And then I'm like, "Oh, girl, I got stories," you know? And sure enough, I tell the stories. The story I didn't tell, by the way, at the same time, I had shot a reality show 6 months earlier, that I on NBC. Oh my God, I never talk about this. Um, and
I
I
love
never
this.
thought it was coming out because it was a show we shot and it felt like it was small potatoes. Um, and I didn't know how television worked because in 6 months we kept hearing to, oh, there's going to be an air date. There's going to be an air date. And we're like, dude, it's been 6 months. We shot the show. I didn't know how long it took to edit and to do all the things. So I get this job. Not only did I get the internship job, but then I got this job at 20th Century Fox Television a week into my being an assistant for the loveliest individual in Hollywood, Jane Francis. She's the best. She's still at working at Fox. She's my I was assistant to her for a year and a half, and then she brought me over to Fox 21 in the middle of that, and that's where I grew my career under her, with her. She allowed everything to happen. My career only happens because of her, and she. A weekend, there was literally this big press release from NBC announcing me and 12 other people on this reality show.
Oh,
And
wow.
again, I'm so dumb about the entertainment industry. She saw the announcement. She's a drama executive, and she pulls me into her office. I worked right outside of her office, and she pulled me out. And she's like, "Brad, in the interview, you didn't tell me something." And I'm like, "I have nothing to hide. Like, there's nothing. I'm an open book." Because I thought nothing of this. And she goes, "You were on a reality show." I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I didn't know that anything would come out. And she's like, "It was announced today," because she had friends at NBC. And I'm like, "Oh," because everybody thought it was funny because on my show, I wasn't I don't even know what I was. I think, a business executive or something of that nature. And it went wildfire of like, "Brad, you didn't say anything in your interview." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess this is gonna be a really quick employment here, like I'm here for a week." And then she goes to me, she goes, "Brad, I'm the biggest reality fan." I'm at the time, she's overseeing 24, she's overseeing some of the biggest drama shows, Angel and Buffy and all these, and she goes, "Yeah, if you would have told me, I would have hired you on the spot." The problem is I didn't know about it, so now I gotta tell my boss, and we need to get ahead of it and say that you weren't lying. You just literally you gotta repeat exactly what you said. You're completely
Yeah.
innocent to understand anything, and we got past it. But what I didn't realize is that show blew up,
Oh,
and
wow.
I ended up on the Today Show.
Wow.
What was the show called again?
Average Joe.
Oh my god.
It's where 12 regular people, it was slightly different, and
So
one beautiful girl. It was The Bachelor for regular dudes.
That's
And I
amazing.
was on the show, and
So
I
you were
got
in the
halfway.
show, like in it, not
Oh,
just working on.
I was one of the average Joes.
You were an average
Oh
Joe.
my
Okay.
gosh, that
Okay.
is so
Yeah,
funny.
and it's funny because, I spoke, again, I don't know Hollywood, I didn't know anything, maybe this is why I've remained this stupid maybe throughout my career.
That's
We
funny.
were, at the launch, there was a premiere party before the season aired, and Jeff Zucker, who was the head of NBC at the time, he's the one that created the concept because he wanted to make The Bachelor for him. That was literally where the concept came from. So ABC had The Bachelor, which was not Jeff Zucker. If you know, Jeff Zucker is a regular looking dude.
Yep.
Um,
Don't know Jeff
he wanted to make
Zucker.
The Bachelor for regular dudes. So he
Ah.
casted all ranges of people. Literally, there
Mhm.
was not a person that looked the same.
That's
We had overweight,
amazing.
we had super skinny, we had tall, we had short, we had nerds, we had an athlete, we had everything. And it was what guy is going to get picked by the girl, the hot girl, being the Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader. That's who she was. Um,
That
and
is hilarious.
mind you, we didn't know any of what the show concept was. I was there was multiple castings out. I was cast, and this is my little like pat on the back. The Life of the Party. That was the show that I was going to go on. Literally, I was cast on Life of the
That's
Party. And are you the life of every party? Not as a drinker or partier, but like you just love to have the
entertain.
microphone and entertain people. And I was never an actor or anything, but I literally just love it.
That's so
So that
funny.
was my character, was the life of the party. Just had fun.
That's
But
awesome.
everybody was cast under a different like show title. And then we were promised that our season was going to be in Hawaii. So that was also why I went. Because I'm like, oh my God, a free vacation in Hawaii.
I didn't know this. This isn't in your resume, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not. I completely forgot about this. I think you can find the episodes
That's
still out there.
amazing. Now I want to watch it.
But here's the best thing. All of us, we go to, oh my God, what's the hotel in Hollywood? Safari Inn. Safari Inn is notoriously the hotel that reality contestants stay at before they go on shows. So we all go to the Safari Inn. I'm in LA, so I didn't have to stay at the Safari Inn. I got to pull in the next morning. So I pull in and I see these dudes and I'm like, what show am I on? I call my mom. And I'm like, there are
Mom.
people on this that I thought I was on Life of the Party, and I'm seeing people that I probably wouldn't hang out with in real life whatsoever. But I'm like, I'm going to Hawaii. We're gonna go to the LAX. We're gonna go to Hawaii. Everything's gonna be fine. In fact, one person, Adam Mesh, who happened to win the show and get his own spinoff, he went to Michigan. I went to Michigan. So we quickly bonded because I was wearing something Michigan, and we quickly bonded on the not only on the show but in real life. And we hop on the bus. You know, we're going to LAX from the Safari Inn, and I know how you get from Safari Inn to LAX, and we went the other way. And I'm like, why are we going to LAX? I'm like, are we going to another airport? Are we going somewhere else? We end up at a resort in Palm Springs next to a resort, I swear to God, that not only had a pride flag, which is Palm Springs, amazing, but it was a nudist resort. It is for
well, this is getting better and better.
And we are a bunch of dudes not knowing what we are. We didn't know that it was a dating show. We didn't know anything of that nature.
This is so
and we're like,
funny.
what? We literally, I wanted to call Ashton and go, are we getting punked here? Like, is that really what it is? Yeah. And we only found out, and this is where I learned a lot about reality television. We shot for 6 days of just hanging out and having fun before we ever were introduced to the format.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because all of a sudden on day 6, after some alcohol, a lot of it, we were very comfortable. We were friends with each other. We knew everybody. The cameras, we had done so many OTFs and interviews at the time. We didn't know that the cameras were there. So when the show actually started on day 7, budgets would never do this anymore. We were so comfortable that from minute 1, that show became a hit because we didn't have to ever and by the way, I still use that to today. I know what it's like to be on camera. I know how important it is to give people time and to be comfortable. And day 7 is when actually the show started. All the first 6 days was used as B-roll.
Hilarious.
But it was purposely done because on day 7, when we were introduced to the concept that it wasn't the concept, the reactions were like, we literally thought, because it's still in my mind, this is Life of the Party. And I'm like, I don't know what the show is. I'm just having fun, you know? And then all of a sudden, Kathy Griffin shows up because she was the host. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
And then literally the camera went from here, and you can't see this, but to our bellies. And we're all standing in line and just showing, and I'm like, okay, Life of the Party, maybe. And then Kathy introduces the concept. Y'all here, you're thinking of doing this and this and that. You think you're here, you think you're here, you think you're here. all of you are wrong. And we're like, and none of us knew. None of us had an idea. And
Is
then
this
out
like
walks,
2003? When is
yeah,
this? What's the year?
out
2003.
walks this unbelievably gorgeous Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader. And we were like, now some of us were like, this is awesome. Like, this is the coolest show ever. And some of us were like, and then we found out very quickly that, oh, this is the Bachelor for regular guys at Starbucks, and it was very, very interesting because there
That's
was,
so funny.
it ended up being an amazing experience. That ultimately, again, the crazy things were that led us to places like there was massive watch party. The show had, I think the last episode, I'm totally going to make this up, but had 30 or 40 million people. It was one of the biggest reality show season
Wow.
finales.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I'm literally, I was on the,
Was-
I don't think I was on the cover of People magazine, but I had a whole feature on me in People magazine.
This is
It was
so funny. I've got to see the show
while
now.
I'm an assistant at 20th Century Fox Television.
What?
That was the
Wow.
crazy part. I'm literally in the business, and ultimately that's why I got handed here to pull it back around. All the reality on Fox 21, Game
Wow,
Show in My Head, and Beauty and the Geek was because you're the reality guy.
That's
No, I was
great.
on a reality show. I wasn't the
That
reality
is
guy.
so funny. I
But
did
Beauty and the Geek,
not know that
you
story. I didn't know,
Beauty and
didn't know that.
right, it's sorry. That was a 20-minute story that I didn't expect to tell. So
Oh no,
No,
that's awesome. It's an awesome story.
I
I was going to
love it.
say, like your whole career, you could draw from that because so many of these
Yeah.
executives haven't even been to set, let alone been on a damn show. Like
Yeah.
because like you had these conversations with execs, it's like they've never even been to set. Like
it
and if they
taught me
have,
so many things. And in fact, I had a real big argument. So there was two producers on it, both very successful producers. One of them I had a very rich career with. In fact, the best day was when I brought one of the producers on in a deal. I gave him a lot of money to work with me. And it was like the best day ever, because he had given me that opportunity. And he was so good to me while I was shooting. He didn't know who I was, and he was so good. He literally wrote the book on how to treat people, both. And I saw how he treated the
Wow.
crew. I saw how he treated the talent, literally. Not so much with the other person. Turns out both very successful careers, both still in the business, one of which I never ever did business with again.
Mm.
And again, for me, it's we're so lucky to work in this business. We can make a choice to be kind or not. And kind will always win in the long run. Not necessarily in the short run, but I always wanted to be the person that whatever the outcome was, that somebody would feel just a little bit better about a name being brought up in a room that you weren't in. And that person is Stuart Krasnow is his name. To this day, I have such a love for him and have rooted for him every step of the day because I saw how
Wow.
much he cared about his crew and how much,
Wow.
and I am 5% of the executive that he ever was. I did not do everything right. I would do a lot of things different. I don't like to say like, I don't live life with regrets. I actually think you should because you learn from those moments and to be better.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good.
I can't control I can't control my past, but what I can control is how I react in the future when I presented with that next thing. So I did a lot of things wrong as a producer. I did a lot of things wrong as a network executive. I did not treat everybody with the respect that they deserved, but I tried more often than not to be that one person, especially when I'm set, be a person. When I went to set, my whole is how can I take care of the crew? How can I take care of everybody? And in fact, I may be dealing something with today on that. And all of my learnings from the past 20 years is, how can I help everybody on this production? And how can I help everybody just move
Wow.
past this and learn from the past as quickly as possible so that
Yeah.
we can all deliver what we're meant to be delivering?
That's Well said, beautiful said. I love that because it is, a story within a story. Like this journey that we're on is a story while we're
Yeah.
telling these stories. And I feel the same way as a team leader, like you've got to make the experience rich, whatever it is. Like you want to enjoy the process of telling this story and understand what people are going through and dealing with. And it's always going to be hard, but that's just the nature of the beast. But you just want to be clear and feel good about what you're doing. And this
Yep.
is just good things to live by. So, do you think you'll ever go back to being a network exec? Do you miss it, or do you enjoy this next phase where you're an entrepreneur, um, and consulting
Yeah,
and
I
still?
do say that if somebody told me exactly the road that I'm on now before I left, would I have the same thing? Would I jump and have this life? And 100% I would not. If I was told what my journey has been the last couple of years, I would not have. Sometimes
Because,
it's okay not to know,
yeah.
because I know at the end of the day that I am helping more people. I know at the end of the day, I'm still doing what I like and what I love. I would have never known about any of this or the capability or the ability to do what I'm doing if I didn't do it. But the road that I'm on is a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress, but all of which, for the most part, I can control. When you were in the job that I had, I would have sleepless nights. I would have really hard days. I was really blessed and grateful to have the role that I had, but with everything, you have problems. The difference was in the job of a network executive, you have zero control. You have
Mm,
nothing. You are there today, gone tomorrow. You have no control over how much money you make. You have no control over your title, over the jobs, the experiences. You have no control over so many things. Um, the only thing that you have control over is you saying yes to the job and the opportunity and saying yes to dealing with the boss that you have. Because
mm, yeah,
you don't need to be in a toxic environment.
yeah.
And what the mistake, not the mistake, what I wish I would have done earlier in my career is say yes to good people, not the network or company behind them.
Mm.
Um, we are elevated by great people. We learn more from great people. We work harder for great people. In the entertainment industry, it's not who you are; it's who you're working for.
Mm.
We introduce ourselves as "Hi, I'm Brad from A&E." Um,
That's true, right?
we
Yeah.
always do that. What we don't, which, in the creator economy, it's a little bit different. We sometimes introduce ourselves by that piece of talent, and
Mhm.
Darman being probably the best example
Right.
of a guy that I don't know him, but I know a lot of people that work for him, and I know that they are far better off after working with him than before. Um, and that's probably the best advice is what's so important, and especially in the early parts of your career, is who you work for, not what the company is.
Hmm.
We also today have the ability to just do so many different things without the Fox, the Netflix, all the types of things that we can absolutely make a difference anywhere we are. So the answer is, I um, I don't think I will ever go back to a traditional job. But an opportunity that has recently come up is something that really, again, I don't know if it will lead to a job. I'm not asking for it to lead to a job, but if I can use the zone of genius that I have of being able to see story, to see distinct and different, to help people tell their story, to elevate it with a return on investment that helps so many people, not a ratings point or a bottom line revenue for a multi-trillion dollar company. I would happily take that role, except not accept. The qualification has to be I would work for that person for free. I
Wow.
have to.
Wow.
Um, and not that financially I can afford that because I can't. But I'm at the stage where I am very lucky to have the career that I have. It's my fault if I don't do something with it more than I've done in the last 20 years.
Wow.
I do not think that if Netflix, the hot girl in the room, which is Netflix, called me up and said, hey, you're going to be number 2 to Brandon Rieg, would I say yes? I like Brandon. I like Netflix's content. A lot of my friends work there. I don't think I could work in a traditional environment. I'd rather be the person that puts the project together that they get excited for. And again, like I'm the first 10 and the last 10. I like that role. I don't.
What does that mean? The first 10 and the last 10?
So I bring the, Steve Jobs was very famous at that, is he was all
right.
in the first 10%. He
Oh, I
let
see.
his team go all in on the 80%, and then he would come in the back end 10%.
Got it.
So it's kind of what a network executive is. The problem with
Sure.
network
Yeah.
executives is they get involved in the wrong things in the middle 80.
Yeah.
You know, they put their hands in too much, they are on set too much, or they just don't contribute in a way that they should be. That first 80, that middle 80 is an opportunity for that team to fail and succeed many times over. They're the ones that are also figuring out the show. Your job is when they're at the 5-yard line about to score, to help them score. But your job is not for them to go down the field. That's not your job. That's not your role. And I've always liked that. I've always liked, how can I be the general manager of a team? Do everything I can to create the best team, create the sport a little bit, create the IP. I love creating. I did a lot of creating as a network executive. I loved working with great people to elevate whatever I was creating. I didn't need any ownership whatsoever. I didn't need my name on screen. I love that. And then the middle 80, what can I do to support you? What can I do to help you? And if the answer is stay away, that's the answer. If the answer is come out on set, we need your opinion, I'll come out on set, whatever I need. And then the last 10, I really believe my superpower is putting all of these ingredients together for an output that hits the masses, that feels distinct and different. And that's the last 10%. Your job is to create and to capture all the content necessary in the field. So I have those ingredients. And many times it does help for me to get hot sheets or for me to be in the field somewhat.
Hot sheets.
You said the magic word. Everybody drink. It's a drinking game.
But it's funny because
Shots.
there was many shows that I would get cuts, and I would have seen something in the field just as an observer, and I would go to set to take care of the crew. That was, my joke is if I'm on set and had to work, that's a problem. My goal was never to work when I was on set, but I would see things, that would just hit a little bit differently to me. And then I'd get the episode, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why didn't that scene make it? Or why did that make it?
Yes.
And undoubtedly,
I always feel that
there was an answer. Sometimes the answer was right. Sometimes the answer was wrong. But again, it's the collective effort of maybe, again, when you're so close to something, you don't see the big picture. And that's where I can have the clarity of the last 10% that maybe when you're on the grind in the bay, working, your 12, 14-hour days, you don't see something that I saw.
For sure.
Yeah,
You
but it's the
absolutely need
combined
that.
effort that makes a great show. It really, it sounds like such a story, but I wanted 100% of the time. So real quick anecdote. So Jen Salke, who she ran Amazon for years. I think she now has a producing deal at Amazon. She was the head of our department at 20th Century Fox Television.
Oh, wow.
And somebody that I adore. I adore Jen so much. And she ran NBC for a while too, or number 2 at NBC. She was under Bob Greenblatt at NBC. So she's head of the scripted department at 20th Century Fox Television, massive shows. And she always had a rule. And she always had a rule where she never put notes, meetings on the books until after she got the script, because she assumed that the script would always be there, would always be right. So why should I ever assume that me as the network executive would give notes to a writer that has lived in this script for so many years or so many weeks? Now, undoubtedly, there was always a meeting that needed to take place because there was always a conversation to be had, but it was the philosophy of, I don't want to assume that you need my input because that's not my superpower. Your superpower is to write the best script possible. And
Right.
if I come in and give a no, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean, but I want the culture for you to know that I'm only coming in if I just see something, but my assumption is I don't have to see anything.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, her job was good or bad, not because of the note that she gave, but because of whatever that end product was at the end of the day. Nobody audited and go, oh, how many notes did Jen give? How many did she turn around the script? Nobody cared
Yeah.
about. All they cared about was the product that went into the viewer's eyes at the end of the day. And
Right.
that philosophy alone, I really tried to prescribe as much as possible. Your schedules get crazy. I was running so many shows
Oh, yeah.
all throughout my A&E life that it got hard. But again, it was the
Sure.
philosophy of let the great people do their great things. Don't get in the way of greatness. Do not.
Nice.
Help when things are struggling. Step back when things are working.
That's amazing. That's tough, to be a good leader, I think, in this business is tough because not everybody they come from creative backgrounds. They're not necessarily trained to be a manager, but yet they're put into manager positions, and it's tricky.
That's part two.
There are, but you know what I mean? Like just the fact that you're thinking in terms of a manager and how to best manage this creative process, that's a tribute
Entertainment
to you.
did not reward leaders or managers. They
No.
rewarded ratings
Yeah.
of shows, and they had no control over those ratings.
Yeah.
In life, great managers get rewarded because they lead and inspire.
Right.
In the entertainment industry, that is not a factor.
No.
It's a factor in life, and it's a factor in long-term longevity.
Why is it so weird in TV? Like, why is it so different?
I don't know.
Like, different.
Because none of us have that
You know?
ability. None of us have been taught that. None of us grew up in that. We grew up completely creative. So I realized that in the world, when you climb a mountain, once you're at the top of the mountain, that's all great. In Hollywood, you have to throw that person off the mountain to get to the top of the mountain. And I didn't ever want to be that person. That's the only reason you got promoted was the person either they got fired or moved jobs. But in the real world, there's actually a peak that grows higher and then higher and then higher. So every leader, the next person is better and better and better. And the person knew that I can still be here, or I can still be elevated, and I can bring great people along with me. So it's the better that my team was, the better that we were as an organization. That's the real world.
Yeah.
But everybody was afraid of their job, that they're like, oh, the real reason this worked is because the person under you, so we're going to fire you. So, well, that is the reality. So again, I realized I did not want to throw anybody off the mountain. So what I decided to do.
There's a lot of dead bodies on that, and that.
And dear friends of mine are there. So I said, listen, at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb a mountain that I don't know if I can climb, but I know that I actually have some skills that I can get to a place that's higher up on the mountain already. But most of the mountain is going to be uncharted territory, because then I know that it's clear sailing up top if I can learn how to get there. But I don't have to have somebody or throw somebody off the mountain to get to where I wanted. That's ultimately why I decided to leave. Now, same skills, right? So climbing a mountain, same skill set, climbing a different mountain, but I didn't have to be a person that I didn't want to be in another environment. And it sounds harsh, it sounds bad, but and it's not entirely true. I really think towards the end of my run at A&E, there was a time where I had a whole philosophy on the entertainment industry, and the whole philosophy was, what if we all work together? Very simple philosophy. And that was born out of my world of entrepreneur, the world that I was in with all these entrepreneurs in real estate. So I went to a conference that is actually is the end. Real Screen is one of the biggest conferences of reality that literally,
and now it's gone.
Which it's gone because they never evolved with the times, but yet conferences have never been bigger. That's
nuts. Yeah.
It does not make sense why it makes sense why Real Street's gone, because they never evolved. So
Mm.
we're at Real Screen. I got asked to go and speak, which is a huge honor, and I still was grateful, but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go because I was really tired of the conversations that were happening and
Mm.
just the negativity, and nobody wanted to be at their
In
job
the
anymore.
industry, you mean?
Nobody wanted to be. This was in 2024 in
Yeah.
January. So a friend of mine goes, well, then go with a different attitude. Literally go in with an attitude to change the business. And I looked at him and laughed,
Nice.
and I said, "Oh, that's silly." And he goes, "No, do it." Goes, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I have 50 or 60 meetings lined up. They're all ready to pitch me." And they're like, "What if every meeting you said you brought out your calendar, scheduled another meeting so they would have the pitch time, but during that time you would give a TED Talk or your Fred Talk, whatever version of it is, of your state of the industry, so that you have an opportunity to change the industry."
Wow.
What I did in January of 2024 is had my calendar. I never took a pitch. And as a network executive, all you do is hear pitches at events like this. I scheduled a new meeting before we started, and I'm like, give me a second. I want to rant about how I believe the entertainment industry should be. Most people were on board with what I was saying of
What did you
working
say?
together. And I gave an example of
Yeah.
Howard Lee has been a dear friend of mine, and he's running TLC Discovery and all these types of fancy places. But yet A&E and TLC Discovery were always rivals, and I loved Howard. And I still love Howard to this day. And I said, what if I got a project that was far better for TLC, a rival network?
Ooh.
And I heard the pitch. And while that producer was in the room, I could call my friend Howard up at A&E, or I'm at A&E, calling Howard at his office, if he's in town in New York, and be like, Howard, I need you to hear this pitch right now. It is so good for you and your brand. Amazing. If you don't know the producer, it's Jane, whatever. And then literally right there, and me have nothing to do with whatever happens after. There's no ownership, no anything, like nothing. But Howard got the project he deserves because I introduced him to this person that may or may not have been, who knows? What if we worked in a business that we absolutely helped each other? Because in cable television and unscripted television,
yeah.
we're literally a small piece of the bigger entertainment puzzle. We're
Yeah.
all up against the streamers. We're
That's
all up
true.
against scripted and docs. We're all up against theater and news and sports and live events. We're all up against everything, all of social media, all of Instagram, we're so small that what if we worked together and we were kind and helped each other?
Wow. Yeah,
I
that's
said that 50 times over.
like a collective incubation hub.
I didn't judge anybody that looked at me that was crazy. That looked like I was crazy, because I thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
I thought I was literally the craziest person in the world. But I'm having these conversations. Next day, you can't write this. So I'm walking out of it going, and by the way, there was a moment during the event too that I had a lovely dinner with a producer that I was in business with, and this was in New Orleans, and we're walking back to the hotel, and it was a TV exec clique. I'm not going to mention any names, but it's like 10 of the cool
inquiring
kids.
minds want to know.
They're the cheerleader football players of the TV industry. They're the cool kids whatsoever. And literally, I'm on one side of Bourbon Street, and they're on the other side of Bourbon Street. I'm going back to the hotel because I have a 7:30 a.m. coffee, and that person that has a coffee with me probably been planned for weeks. I like to have meetings, and they deserved a full me, so I wasn't going to go late at night. But yet, the cool kids were going out for the night. So and my producer will tell you exactly the story. The cool kids are like, Brad, come on. Because I was like a dotted line of the cool kids. I wasn't definitely, I was not on their group text.
You're the life of the party. What do you mean?
Yeah, right. So desired. Maybe it was the alcohol talking for them. Literally in that moment, I had the angel and the devil right here.
Wow.
And I'm in the middle of my rant-a-session, my rant-a-conference, and I'm like, if I have, the devil is like, go out with them, do everything that you're saying against, and you're being cliquey and all this. But the angel was like, no, go back, have a really good restful sleep, and show up for that person at 7:30. 100% of my career before that day would have gone the other way, would have gone out with the person, with that group, because that's when potentially you get elevated in people's minds, because it wasn't about
Sure.
promotion of your resume or who
Right.
you are as an executive. Did they like you or not? Were you popular? Were you a
Yeah.
lot of that was in play,
8th grade. We're in
and
8th
they were
grade.
well
We're
connected
still.
with my boss, and they were well connected with the people. And if it's like Brad's part of the cool kids, that would help. 100% it would help me. 100%
Yeah.
for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So that day, I walk back to my hotel room and I call my wife. And I told her the story. She knew the people. She's been with me through this journey. And I told her what happened. And she said how proud I was, how proud she was of me.
Wow.
I was sacrificing future opportunity for what I believed in.
Wow.
And it was this, it was such a small moment that affected me so much, because I was not sacrificing me, but I was elevating me and my future self.
Wow.
Without knowing any of that whatsoever.
Wow.
So I go back, I continue the rant to conference. The next day I come back, it was on a Wednesday. We have an all hands meeting at the network. Stupidly and egotistically, I thought it was about me. Like, hey, Brad did all this. Well, no, what happened was I'm preaching openness and sharing, and we're all doing the same thing, and we're such a small part of it. So let's work together. Somebody had leaked that a new Dance Moms was being produced. And there was this massive campaign around Lifetime and new Dance Moms. And some very person up at the company, the number 2 at the company, basically put a lockdown on all of us and said, our IP is everything, who we are is everything, and we're not to talk about anything to anybody. Literally the opposite of what I was preaching for the last 3 or 4 days. Now, it sucks that somebody leaked it with whole teams working on a release, but the ironic and crazy how life happens is for 3 or 4 days, I basically said the opposite of the number 2 at this company.
Wow.
Right.
And it was 3 months later that I left.
Right.
And it was not coincidence. It was intentional, unexpected intentional. But that's when everything became clear. Everything. And it's like literally the universe is telling you that you have a view, you have a mountain that is not the mountain that you're climbing on. And I wanted to be at the top of the mountain. I wanted to run a network. That was my ultimate goal. I thought I'd be really good at it. I knew that I could be in front of a board, which I was at my company. I was always in board meetings. I was always talking to the big people. I was always in the C-suite. I always wanted to be there. And I always wanted to be there in entertainment. And I knew at that point, I would have to do things that I would never want to do to get there.
Wow.
Knowing that it would never even be my choice, because ultimately that's not my choice to go to the top of the mountain. That's other people's choices. And I saw who was ahead of me in that line up the mountain. Not only did I not want to throw them off, I didn't want to be any of them.
Right. Wow.
I just
Wow.
didn't. And ultimately, so that's when I talk about, do I want to be a network executive or do I want to go back? I would if my experience was different. And it all comes down to, I really do like the people that I work with. I have very fond relationships with them. I really do love them as people. And I think some of them are really good at their job. I struggle with management and leadership and elevation of your team and supporting your team, taking a bullet for your team. It just wasn't there. and there wasn't a trust. And I just saw so many people, just pour their lives into their jobs, and on any given day would just be taken away for something that
Damn.
ultimately they wouldn't control.
Yeah,
Right.
And that happens
Right.
in any industry. It really does. But that's when I was like, you know what? I need to help more people in a way that I can only help, not knowing if I was going to be able to do it. And that's ultimately April 24th, 2024 is when that happened.
Damn.
Wow. Wow.
That is amazing. I mean,
What if,
oh,
I mean, I saw something, some of your content. I'm going to ask this question just to lighten the mood a little. What if the pickleball network called and said, we want you to run our network?
I would say you have the worst sport possible.
he's a tennis guy.
I know he is. I saw him on one of on his channel
It's so
talking
funny.
about pickleball.
Here's what I'll tell you too. Anything that brings people out to do something that they normally wouldn't, I'm applauded. But pickleball is so stupid. It's mini tennis
Oh my god!
for
that's
people
so
that
funny.
don't know how to play. Now,
Spoken like a real tennis player, right?
That isn't hard. It's really hard. I played since I was a kid. My wife just took it up 2.5 years ago. And she's never been a ball sport person, and it takes a lot. It's a really difficult
it's
sport to
super
learn
athletic.
at any age, let alone being older. And that's what it should be. It should be. You don't start out running and win the 100-meter dash. But pickleball, there's not. I don't.
I feel like
fast.
I feel like I could go out and win pickleball, and I've never played pickleball.
You can, but also
it's really
what you can
fast.
do is you can kill yourself on a pickleball court because you'll break a leg, you'll pull an ACL. When doctors love a sport, that's when you know it's a bad sport. Literally, the doctor industry, the medical industry is like, yes, pickleball. Yes, because I get so many injuries by people that don't understand, because pickleball is very quick and short movements. That's something you need to train for.
Yes.
But the translation is anybody can make quick, short movements because it feels attainable.
And notice the biggest people in the sport are like 19 years old. They're just like,
now they're younger. What's so
young.
interesting about the sport is those that only know pickleball. They don't know any other sport whatsoever. So you see these 13, 14, 15-year-olds that understand how to play pickleball because there is a way to play pickleball. Like when I, as a tennis player, play pickleball, it's a problem because I play tennis on a pickleball court. So when I play with my entrepreneurial friends, because none of them can handle a tennis court, they can handle 11 points in 15 minutes. They can't handle 2 sets in 2 hours, which I can, running all over the place. But when we do, it's just one of those things where I really want to like everything. I really do. It's just, pickleball. It's funny.
It's all right. You don't have to like pickleball.
I was on it hasn't been released yet, so you'll hear it. I was on a podcast with an author who I actually think we stopped the podcast, and like most people not in television, I don't know if this happens to you, but they pitched me a television show. I get pitched television shows all the time. So he pitched me a television show. He's a pickleball player, not known for pickleball. So he pitched me a pickleball concept that, mind you, again, having the knowledge of the industry, even today, I actually knew that there was exactly the show that he was pitching on the Pickleball Network. That's how stupid I am about knowing the television industry. So I kindly was like, joke. So I'm like, but you know what? I hear your passion. I hear. So I went back. He gave me the ingredients. I delivered him a show. Pickleball with stakes. So he is a leadership guy. He's a coach. He coaches the biggest actual like sports coaches, like NBA and Major League Baseball and NFL. Really big author, best-selling author, and he really does these one-on-one coaching sessions. So I said, "Here's the concept. The concept is pickleball with stakes. Now, he liked the concept. I don't know if we're gonna do it's all for his personal life. I'm not
That's
giving away
fun.
any IP, but
Yeah.
I'm like, anytime your opponent loses a point, and his deal is like he goes deeper and deeper with the questions. A question gets asked, and then a deeper question, and then deep. So anytime your opponent loses, you go deeper into what, and they came to you with a problem. So we have a problem. The point is, can they be good enough to not get the transfer? Actually, now I'm poking a hole in my own concept. But the idea is there's consequence. Actually, there's consequence to the person if they lose the point by them going deeper into their problem. But yeah, I just poked a hole in my concept, so I'll be revising that.
Well, it reminds me of like truth or dare, right? You like pick
very-
trick or
yes.
treat, pick a dare,
Well,
and then
here's what I
kind of
told them.
go.
Nobody cares about pickleball. Nobody cares about the outcome of the pickleball. They don't. If you saw what I wrote him, I literally said that. I said,
Nobody
nope, nobody.
cares.
And he was like, you're a tennis player. I'm like, no. No pickleball cares about the outcome. What they care about is the consequence. They care about, if I was on the court with you, which I would want to be on the court with him because of who he is and get the coaching. And what makes this more entertaining and more accessible to everybody else? It's not the pickleball. We don't care. In fact, that was my biggest thing with sports for the longest time, was any sport that has professional, nobody really cared to watch anything but the professional, because all you want to watch is professional. Sports that didn't have that professional, you'll watch. So cheerleading, why we liked cheer before all that happened, but why we like cheer is because that was the big leagues. What we watched was the big leagues. DCC, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, we'll watch the big thing. But are we going to watch kid baseball? No, because we're watching the big baseball. We like the big baseball. So it was hard, but also, and Netflix, we never know the numbers. We never know anything. But a lot of those shows, most of the shows don't work because we don't care about what they are off the field. What we care about them is on the field and in the sport, which we get in true sports and true competition. We do like the segments. We like the segments, but we don't need to know everything about an individual. Okay, that's a rant that needs.
Well, let me ask you this: do you know Dan Bradley? Are you familiar with him as a producer?
Who is it?
Dan Bradley.
I don't.
He took that sport, pickleball, and he made an epic series. He took something like that thing that you don't like, and he's such a great producer. He made a really watchable series for.
Is that the Amazon Prime series?
Yes, the Prime series.
Yeah, it's Partners. It's called Partners.
Jen, did you know Anna Bright was just passed up as the number 2?
Oh, really? Oh my gosh!
I think by some 17-year-old.
Wait, what? Okay,
not Anna Lee Waters, not Anna Lee Waters.
Oh, the other
Anna Lee. The other one, the number 2.
Okay, I know Anna Lee Waters. I know Anna Bright. I know the names. I like to seeing Agassi and Steffi Graf play. Now that's my jam. I'm like watching my classic tennis people play pickleball. And there's who's the good Jack Sock is the good pickleball player that used to be a great tennis player.
Right. There's a lot of tennis guys going over.
But what's interesting is to play pickle is really not at all tennis because it's a flick of a wrist, and literally that's the opposite of tennis. Tennis it's not. And then like I have a two-handed backhand. Not really great for pickleball. You don't want that. I will tell you, really good athletes in pickleball are pretty impressive. Here's my last rant on pickleball. If you need to have rules that prevent you from playing the sport, it's a problem. What is that rule?
Stay out of the kitchen. Stay out of the kitchen.
And you can't hit it out of the air the first time even. You have to let it bounce. You can't come.
Oh, yeah, you got the bounce. The bounce in the kitchen.
You're preventing me from playing the sport because you know the sport is flawed.
Well, here's one last thing about pickleball. I just gotta grab some. I've never played, but Jen and I we knew your love for the game, and so we figured we would get some paddles, and Team Hotsheet would play Team Holcman. No,
I
but I
will tell
literally,
you.
this is a 4th of July purchase, and I've never
And you
played.
didn't even play. You didn't even
No, I
play.
couldn't find anybody to play. Nobody wanted to play.
Yeah,
So
because
you know
it's
what?
pickleball.
Can I tell you something funny? So you talk about being visible and getting out there, and I recently kind of am going down the Reddit rabbit hole and promoting the Hotsheet and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's fun. It's like a fun game you have to figure out, even though it's maddening, and there's these mod people that are like mafia and they won't let you in their group or they'll kick you
Oh, yeah.
out, or it's nightmare. So but the game is like come up with a fun question. Sometimes it's a simple question, it's a fun question. So I went to the pickleball group and I'm like, is pickleball the fastest growing sport? And I put the link to our show in there. And the first response was, who cares? I'm still gonna play pickleball. And I'm like, good answer. It's up to you if you care. But
Yeah, I'm on the board of our swim and racket club, and there's just a big conversation of, because it's a tennis club. We have 18 tennis courts, and we have 2 of the hard courts that also can play as pickleball courts, but there's not separate pickleball courts. So what's interesting is we're going to have a capital expense intentionally to build pickleball courts, not because they want pickleball, but because they don't want pickleball on the tennis courts. So we are spending money to literally
to
get them off of the court. And I'm like, that just tells you everything about the side that I'm on. I don't hate pickleball players.
That's funny.
In fact, at our club, a lot of the pickleball players are really young. They're like
They're
the 14
so
to 18, 20-year
Yeah,
olds.
it's not like a bunch of old people. It's like
And I do love the fact that they're spending their Friday, Saturday night on a pickleball court
Yeah.
versus somewhere else. That I
Sure.
think is awesome. But
Yeah.
also, you're a 14 to 20-year-old, you can handle a pickleball. You're not gonna hurt yourself for the most part.
Yeah.
It's the 40-year-old, guy who's not athletic, who's like, yeah, I'll play pickleball. It seems accessible. It is. And then all of a sudden you make one wrong move and all of a sudden you have an ACL, tear or something of that
Oh
nature.
yeah. My
It's
husband did
really,
that.
really bad.
My husband did that. We played pickleball. He's like, what shall I get? He's an athlete too. And of course he like, first time we played pickleball, he like strained a muscle in some weird muscle in the bottom of his foot or something. Cause you're moving fast. He was like limping around for 2 weeks. I'm like, see, pickleball, it's dangerous. But you can't play pickleball because your doppelganger is Federer. You look like Federer, the tennis player. You
Yeah,
really do.
until you watch me on a tennis court and you're like,
No, not so much.
yeah, I get Federer a lot.
I can see that.
One of these days he's gonna look at me and go, twin?
Who's this guy?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. I secretly I hate Halloween. But if I were to dress up on Halloween,
Oh, you'd kill it. You'd kill it for
it'd
sure.
be funny. Wear the really short white shorts, like do my Wimbledon whites, with my headband. He always wore a
gotta rock
headband.
the headband, the
2
wraps,
wristbands.
all that. Oh my gosh. Brad,
Yeah.
I feel like we could go for 2 more hours.
Yeah,
I
we'll have
think
to do it again because I want
We'll
you
have to bring you back. We'll have to
love
bring
to
you back.
find out have you explain how people get cast, because you know it from being
Ooh.
cast and you know it from
Yeah.
the executive side, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people out there that want to be on reality TV, and it's
That's
like,
true.
if you
Well, let
wanna
me
know-
answer it very
Why they
quickly.
want to do it, I
Okay.
don't know, but
No. Well, the quick answer is, so it's funny. I do coaching. This is not entertainment for people, and I do coaching on camera, and I utilize a lot of the casting principles through my friends that also casted a lot of reality television as well. And it's a stupid answer. 100% be unabashedly yourself. Most people aren't when they are presented in a bit of a weird environment or atmosphere. They're trying to be the person that they think the other person wants them to be.
Sure.
So do not do that. In fact, I don't know the full story of this, but Miz, Mike the Miz,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
his back in his days, he created the Miz character to be on. It was Road Rules, right? Not
Yeah, one
Real
of those.
World,
Yeah, one of those.
one of the two. And he openly said that he's like, "This has always been me. I just never had the outcome or output, but this is absolutely who I am. I haven't been able to." But he openly like talked about, "I'm not creating a character. This is who I want to become," and he was so authentic to the creation of the character that he then
That
was
was
cast
it.
and he has and I've been lucky. I've been in business with him, and we talked about this too. And he just really loved the fact that he could. Here's the example. If you go to if you're going to school every day, people know you every day. But then there's that summer that you go to camp and nobody knows you at camp. So you can be anybody you want. Undoubtedly, you are not the person you normally are at school because people are judging you and doing things. And you become a little bit, you lose sight of yourself, but you have the opportunity to be yourself at camp because nobody knows your past. That's the person I want to show up in front of the camera.
Hmm.
Nobody knows who you
That's good
are
advice.
and be
Yeah.
authentically yourself. The other part of it is how do they discover, how do they find you? 100% of the time, people will be looking at your past. Your past includes
Mm.
anything that you put out there, anything. So, one, do an audit for the negative. But I'm actually thinking, I'm saying, be the positive.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity every day to put yourself on TV, whether it be YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And I encourage people to have a point of view and an opinion in whoever what you are and put yourself out on YouTube. Why YouTube? YouTube is long form. YouTube is your resume. YouTube is searchable. There's a respect among the casting community for YouTube content that is not there for Instagram and Facebook. And YouTube also is known. None of the metrics matter, by the way, anymore. I have never looked at metrics for anybody that I've ever put on television. I could care less if you have 1 subscriber or 1 million subscribers, because it's been proven over time outside of Mr. Beast that nobody can bring your world to a television set. They can't. It doesn't matter. The answer is the show good? People watch. If the show is not good, people don't watch. So the days of celebrity EPs and all that still happens because that's how things get sold in Hollywood, but there is no correlation to how well or how good the show performs based on any of that. And I have anecdotes and I think we had a show with with Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe, say what you want about Rob Lowe. I have my opinion. The show was not good. Show was not a good show. Rob Lowe booked every daytime and nighttime show. Every show. He was everywhere before premiere. The premiere happened, did fine. Second episode,
Wow.
the show has to be good. Okay,
Yeah.
so take that apart.
Yeah.
The content that you put out there has to be good. It does not have to look good. It just has to be good. What does that
Yeah.
mean? Again, what's your point of view? Who you are, what you are. And if it's something that you want to be, in fact, so I had somebody that's in one of my circles-ish, dotted line. He reached out to me. He's like, "Oh, my dream is to be on television and I'm flipping and all this and whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I want to, what's your YouTube channel? What's your whatever, so I can see some of your stuff." He's like, "Oh, I haven't done that yet." And I'm like, "Okay, well, do you have anything?" And he had a Facebook page that he was monetizing for a subscription of 99 cents a month. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So that shows that just not the right put yourself out there every day, have an opinion, have a point of view,
Yeah.
and do it today for the time you'll get past a year from now." So Tommy Har, who is my great example, for his business, he put out YouTube content every day for years, not to be on TV, but for his business, for lead generation. The problem was the content was wrong because YouTube content for lead generation in the real estate business they're called explainer videos. This is how you do things. That's not great TV. TV is entertainment. The but was he put himself in front of the camera for I think it was 4 or 5 years, almost every day. He was
Wow.
comfortable in front of a camera. So the biggest thing that
Right.
is the wake-up call for anybody, and you know this, is all of a sudden when that massive camera's in front of you, you freeze up. You all of a sudden become a different person. But if you've done that every day for 4 or 5 years, I don't care
Right.
if you have 1 subscriber or 10,000, you are comfortable in front of a camera. So that's the biggest thing that I look at is, are you showing up every day, every week? Are you putting yourself out there? Do not look at the metrics. The metrics say nothing whatsoever about who you are, what you are. It's even in lead generation, all you want is the right customer, not the amount of customers. So depending on your
Love
business,
that.
you
Yeah.
may need millions of people to make money because you're going to become an influencer and brands want to see that. My business, I need 10 people. I need 10 people to watch my content, raise their hand and say, you can help me. That's all I need. So
Yeah.
now 10 out of 10 is not going to ever happen, but I don't need a million people. I need the right amount of people. So if I'm already producing this and having the right amount of people, the right people will watch me and see me, whether it's a television show or not. So that's traditional television. If you're casting for a show,
Yeah.
if you want to be on The Traders or Survivor or of any of that whatsoever, um, what a I'm going to go back to this. We haven't talked about this in a while.
No, I was just gonna, there we
Bring
are.
it back to the
There it
$2.
is.
What
Bring
about you is
it.
memorable? Think about the conversation that your friends are having when you're not in the room, and they're proud of them, they're proud to have you be their friend because of somebody or something of what they do and who they are and how they treat people. What do they show up as? What's their story? That's what you need to be talking about every day. So what about that? And that's when people will go back. And why do you do that too? Is you practice your story so often and so much that when you do get an opportunity to be in front of a casting director or somebody of that nature, you have your story down pat. It's not, but people want to see that you own who you are and what you
You
are.
own it.
Because
Yeah.
then when the cameras
That's
turn
great.
on, you are that, it's not character, it's you are that person.
Yeah.
Back in the
But I
day, we could, yeah.
but that's perfect advice for not just casting in a show, but trying to get a job or anything in life, just to be yourself, because otherwise it's not going to work anyway,
But it's
if it
not
doesn't.
just it's a little bit of that, but it's what about you is so memorable, so different that somebody else can repeat that story and it's something that stops somebody in the tracks. We all have that story. We all
Yeah.
have that. Like, again, there's stories that I haven't told the average Joe story in 15 years.
I
By
love
saying the
Great
story, I'm
story.
like, wait a
Great
minute, I
story.
need to
Yeah.
put that in the keynote, and
Yeah.
how that
Yeah.
can correlate to who I am and
Definitely.
what I am.
It's
But we
great.
all have that. And maybe to us it's a Thursday, but to people that haven't heard that story, it is a headline story. There's not a single person on this
Sure.
planet that doesn't have that. Um, I'll plug this a little bit. I have an app that is, it's a rough draft. It's not meant to be it's the all be all end all that requires me sitting down with you for time. But it's findyouronly.app, and it asks you a few
Mm,
questions to help you find your only. It kind of digs
nice.
into you just a little bit, and it's what I really do believe, that good people like us can find the only in others, because that's our job. Our job 100% of the time was, if
Yeah.
we're talking about individuals, we're talking about a cast, what makes you the only in what you do? What makes you distinct and different? What makes you memorable? What are people going to talk about or talk about you? That's what how shows work and how shows do well, is by other people talking about what they're watching and talk to people with their friends. So you need to have
That's
a
right.
story, you need to be memorable. We all have that. Most of us don't think we have one, and if we do have one, don't know how to tell that story. That's
Right.
what we that's what we got paid to do for years, and we would continue to get paid for.
That's
So let
right.
us help you. And that's
That's
that's the
right.
role that we can do, and we can serve others.
And that's findyouronly.app or .com or
Findyouronly.app.
.app. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah,
I
because
love
I
that.
envisioned it as an app, like a physical app, but nowadays, most apps now are not physical apps, or physical, they're digital. But like that, they're sites. So if you go to
Right.
findyouronly.app,
So right there, I don't know
it's
if they can see that on the screen. Is
There
that
you
the one?
go. No, there you go.
It's
There you
a
go.
sometimes awkward picture of me. That's the other thing. Never watch your own
Yes, the
content
one
because
$2 bill up on the top left.
yeah,
Find
Peop
your only dot app.
And
yeah,
don't learn how to be unforgettable, people. That is the whole message here. $2 bill brand, be
It is.
unique, be memorable. Brad knows how to do this.
Find your
speaking
only
of
dot
that,
Clearly.
app. And
my
thank
$2
$2
you.
bill.
bill brand website should have been
Thank you,
up, but
thank you,
it's
thank you, Brad, for your
Yeah.
time, man. This has been
Oh, this
awesome.
was
well, thank you.
so fun. This was such a fun conversation, and we'll have to do it again in the future, hopefully.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And if anybody out there, please tell them about this. I think, for us, either you're an outsider in the entertainment industry wanting to get in, or you're in wanting to get out, or you're
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
wanting to get back in.
Or
Um,
both,
there is a
maybe.
community out there of support, of help, but what I will tell you, and this is really hard, don't be the one that's asking for work. Be the one that's helping others get work.
Love that.
When you do
Yeah.
that en masse, people will help you. People do
Yeah.
not want to help people with their hand out 100% of the time.
Yep.
They want, and it's really, really difficult in this time to do so. It really, really is. We feel that we're in competition with everybody, with every opportunity, but I guarantee you the right person will get the right job. So if you are the person that has a reputation for helping others get what they want, other people will help you get what you want. I guarantee that.
Nice. I
Be
love
that
that.
person. So on LinkedIn, especially, if you see a job posting that you know is not right for you, or if frankly is right for you, put it out on your post. Put a post out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You be that person. If you see somebody write a post, of maybe an experience in the entertainment industry, support that post, comment about it, be
Yeah.
visible about. It's one thing for us to have our own voice on our own page. It's another to be the voice on somebody else's world. And what's amazing is how fast that comes back to you. So one of the biggest hacks of media is, yes, post every day, post multiple times a day, but also comment on other people's posts. Don't comment, great, amazing, wonderful. Actually give something thoughtful back, because people see that and be like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. There's just one, it's a lot less work, to be frank, but also they'll click on your profile and they go back to your world, because people want to be in business with
Sure.
people that help others. It's just organic, it's natural, it's feel. So be that person. Do that. If you do that every day and you do it consistently, it's going to come back to you tenfold.
I
Yeah,
love that.
Jen's good at that. She's always sending jobs to folks, myself included, and she's really good at that.
I like
Yeah,
doing
just
well, it's fun to figure, you go through the LinkedIn or whatever and you're like, "Oh, I know the perfect person for that." Or somebody I had a conversation with somebody that was looking for something like that, and so it's just like I think you've got to be looking out for everybody, and hopefully somebody looks out for you, like you said.
you have to. You have to. I mean, again, we tend to think transactional, and we tend to think short term. We've got to think relational and long term.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
tree does not sprout overnight. It at some point it was a seed that entered that ground, and it took a while for it to come up. So that's what you need to do every day, is plant seeds. Just like commenting and supporting others, you're planting seeds every day. At some point, that person's going to have a job or an opportunity, and they'll remember the person that helped them, and it's going to come back to you, undoubtedly. Again,
Amazing.
it's really difficult. I want to emphasize, because it feels like it should be natural to help people, but we are really selfish individuals. We really are. It's much harder not to be selfish. So if it feels like it's hard to do, you're actually in the right place. It's okay to feel a bit awkward, because it's a struggle that we know we want to help people, but yet it's a struggle like, but I need to help myself first, you know? And at some point you do a little bit of that. When you're in a plane, you put your oxygen mask on. But what you don't do is put your oxygen mask on first and then go, F off everybody, I'm jumping off the plane. Like, it's meant to take care of yourself, because if you don't have roof over your head or food on the table, nothing matters.
Right.
So that's the
Right.
oxygen mask on. Once you have your oxygen mask on, then now you help others. So don't do not hurt yourself to hurt others. I'm Jewish, and that's part of the mitzvah is you live by a mitzvah, you don't die by the mitzvah. And same thing in real life is take
Nice.
care of yourself first at the very base level, and then help others. That's what's going to elevate you and others as well. And I know I want to be around those people every day, whether I'm the one that's helping them and feeling. And also, one last thing, have gratitude when somebody helps you. That has been my struggle my entire life, is I always want to help others. I hate when people help me. And I've always said no, 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 or I brush them off. But think about when we help others, the feeling that we have. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah.
But when we don't take that in from somebody helping us, we're robbing them of that feeling. Somebody told me this, I forgot who
It's
it
true.
was.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So be open to people helping you.
That's
We're all going
true.
to need help at one point.
Yeah.
So be open, and receive it, and be grateful and gratitude, and thank people for that opportunity. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, again, we're slightly selfish, and it feels good to be thanked.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's
Amen.
well said. I love it. Words of advice too. Fun conversation and packed with advice. Good life advice. And
I'm
it's
just using
good
this
for
to make me look good on social media.
well, no, I think these are tricky times for a lot of people,
Hard.
not just in our business, but I think, people are feeling squeezed in a lot of ways and different parts of, beyond the industry. And so it's good to just be good to
People
one
can
another.
control their destiny. They really can. It
Yeah.
is, remember when it's like thrive in 25, or what was something about like 25 is where everything's going to change and everything's going to be better. Survive to 25. That's what it
That's
was.
right.
Survive to
Oh
25.
yeah.
Yes,
That
I
was
remember
the
that. I was
that
at
was
that
the
real
TV
screen. I was at the
motto,
25
right?
real screen. That was the motto. You survived to
Yeah.
25.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't want to survive.
Yeah.
I want to thrive,
Yeah.
and it's not a
Yeah.
line, but and it's a choice. And people are making that choice every day. And it's really, really hard because your identity for so long has been something. Use that identity for something else if the world of entertainment's not giving. Now, a lot of people are employed, a lot of people are doing well in the entertainment industry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the business is expanding and everything's great. The reality is
Right.
I've said this a bunch of times, we all have something very special about us that others don't have. It's your choice to hope and pray for somebody calling you and giving you an opportunity, or to use that for everybody else that really needs who you are and what you are, and put yourself out there. The road is really difficult and hard if you are paving your own road, but it's also really hard if you're literally stuck at the gas station empty, because that's what you are, just hoping and praying somebody's going to call you. You don't have
Yeah.
a car. There's no gasoline in your car. You have no control.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least in the intern, be that person that does, because you never know, maybe 6 months from now people call you, and maybe they called you because you put yourself out there by helping a small business, with their marketing plan, being very creative and different, and there was
Sure.
success to it, and they got more customers, and somebody from Netflix or somebody from whatever business was like, oh, if you're creative for that, you can, like, there is no separation anymore. It's creative is good on all levels in whatever you do. And people that are being creative and putting themselves out there every day, they're going to win at the end of the day. Those that are sitting there going, woe is me, the business sucks, they're not going to win. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to be around that.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is literally with Dave Phone, you can do things that you could never do before.
Yeah. Yep.
Go get them, people. Don't. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.